All of you guys have defined your business strategy. Michael Porter told you that if you define a strategy, you must focus on it. If you focus on it, then you can win. And you can win with a really huge advantage in terms of the premiums you'll get. The focus will create value, right? And when you do that, what are you also told not to do in a good strategy exercise? You also say what you will not do. A good strategy says what are we going to do and what are we not going to do. Now tell me what happens when you actually do something which is different from your strategy for your company. What happens to you guys? See those kids in the sandbox? Those kids are not allowed to leave the sandbox because their parents telling them it's a safe place for you to play. If any of those kids actually wander out of the sandbox, somebody will come and put the kid back in the sandbox. Because the sandbox is where you're supposed to play. You have defined where to play. Now, there are other places to play. The slide looks kind of fun. The swing looks kind of fun. But you have chosen your sandbox to play in. So, strategy requires you to do first. Define the boundaries of where you're going to play. Then it requires you to execute. And if you execute perfectly, it requires you to stay in the box. If you're a big crushing company like Bunge, and you take soy and you crush it and you make oil out of it, and somebody comes along and says, hey, let's do corn. Let's do something else. They'll say, why? That's not our strategy. Stay focused. Corn looks exciting, but you cannot go do corn. Your strategy demands you to stay in your sandbox. There are lots of cool things that you can do, but you're not allowed to do that. If you did do something outside it, what happens to you in a company? You get your hand slapped. Don't do that again. And then you do it again. What happens to you? Perhaps they reprimand you. And the last time you perhaps get fired. So most companies, in the focus of what Michael Porter told us to do, have actually taken away the opportunity to look around. Right? You can't look around as much because you have to focus. And so this is what happens. Those are the parents over there with the kid in the sandbox. And if that kid walks out, the kid is put back in the sandbox. You get nudged back into the sandbox again and again into your strategy. We call those guys board of directors, we call them executives, we call them whoever they are. Right? You have to stay in your sandbox. That's what strategy says. Michael Porter didn't say that was the only thing you had to do. What he said was this is one part of how you can achieve great value. He also said you had to look around. But we have only chosen to do the first part of that exercise.